All right, so I went to the cinema to see the Springsteen movie Deliver Me From Nowhere. I wasn't planning on going to see it. I usually find watching other people's depictions of my heroes is kind of like watching somebody else imagine scenes I've already imagined in my own head hundreds of times. But I had a free ticket, got a good parking spot. I brought a little flask of whiskey, which I mixed in with a Coke. And I think maybe all these tiny circumstances and my low expectations gave me a good night. I'm not sure if it's the ritual of being there and the big screen. Maybe all these factors culminated to me enjoying the film. What surprised me most is kind of how measured it was. Jeremy Allen White's Springsteen isn't shouting. He's not a sweat-soaked stadium hero. He's kind of more internal and grounded and uncertain. And the film focuses in on the period of the making of the Nebraska album, which is a pretty stark, haunted album that Bruce recorded at home on a 4-track. It's like a million miles away from the E Street bombast. And the movie follows a kind of a similar tone. It doesn't chase the legend. It kind of just lingers more on the man himself. And that's kind of rare in biopics, I think. Most of them go for that sort of myth of rags to riches and montages of genius and climactic stadium shows, but Deliver Me From Nowhere stays small. It lives in the quiet, and maybe that's why it kind of worked for me. It also made me think about the Dylan biopic, which I watched at home last year, and I kind of got bored and I turned it off 3 times and I never actually finished it, which is kind of surprising because Dylan, like Springsteen, is probably up there with my biggest heroes ever, musically speaking especially. And it's a beautifully shot film, which makes me wonder why I didn't really enjoy it. But I think one of the reasons I didn't really get it is because they inserted these full song performances into the film, which I think kind of made the songs feel like museum exhibits and made it feel like I was watching people play dress-ups. But the Springsteen one felt more alive and less perfect, a bit more truthful. And I think maybe that contrast opens up a few questions. Like, does where you watch the film matter? I watched the Springsteen one on the big screen, surrounded by strangers. And maybe that physical ritual of the cinema, the darkness, the sense of occasion, made me more open to it. Would I have enjoyed it as much sitting on the couch, or would I have been reaching for my phone during the slow bits? And what about how these stories are told? Should a biopic show us the myth, the lightning in the bottle, inspiration, the highlight reel, or the person who wakes up every day unsure if it's worth doing this anymore? I found myself wondering whether the best musician biopics are really about the music at all, or should they be about the quieter question of what's left after the applause fades? Should the songs be the centerpiece or the backdrop? The Dylan movie made the songs kind of front and center, but somehow lost me. Like seeing lightning bottled and labeled. In the Springsteen film, the songs drift in and out like ghosts of the real thing. And that restraint made them hit harder. Maybe because the film trusted you already know how great the songs are. And as I said, Bob and Bruce are really up there with my top musical heroes. So I already knew the songs like the back of my hand. But maybe if I didn't know the songs already, I'd be more excited about discovering them all for the first time in all their glory, the way the Bob movie presents the songs. Which brings me to the big question: who are these movies really for? If you're already a fan, then you're the one who's probably most likely to have bought a ticket, but you're also the one who's most likely to cringe when the movie starts explaining things you already know by heart. You've read the stories, you've memorized the interviews, you've seen and you've felt the weight of the actual real live performances you've already seen on YouTube. So if the film starts to restage these moments, they can feel like cover versions of your own memories. But if you're new to Springsteen or Dylan, then maybe seeing the mythology for the first time and realizing how extraordinary they are, maybe this would be exhilarating. Yet, if you weren't already a fan, would you even be there watching the film in the first place? But maybe that's the paradox. Do biopics live in this strange in-between place? Too obvious for the devotees, but too obscure for the uninitiated? They're movies about the music you already know, told to people who already care, hoping to remind them why. So I left the cinema thinking about all that. The balance between myth and man, between reverence and realism, between the fans who already know and the newcomers who might be just discovering for the first time. I enjoyed Deliver Me From Nowhere more than A Complete Unknown. Or maybe I just liked it because I came in with low expectations of music biopics and because I was half buzzed on whiskey and I got a good parking spot outside the cinema.